Hello and welcome to my video about camera placement on a motorcycle. You see here is the bike that I placed cameras on. It has at least 8 placement sections. So we're going to go through a series of video shoots to show you how I have cameras placed throughout. I use many of the same sections of road. This is on the left beak of the BMW R1200 GS Adventure that I own. And I'm going through a series of S-curves that shows how the bike leans and how you can capture some pretty good effects with it. Obviously, I'm just capturing one portion of the motorcycle with the cameras, but I found it useful as I was taking long-distance trips because stopping and taking pictures all the time was never very convenient. These cameras I'm using are Drift HDs. They are the predecessor to the Drift Ghost. And I find them to be quite useful. I know a lot of people go with GoPro, and if that's what you choose to do, then I fully support it. Anytime you put a camera on a bike and capture some video, I think it goes well. So we have a series of S-curves, and this is close to my house. It's in a somewhat rural area, a little bit of traffic, but this shows movement on the S-curves and how you capture kind of the lean angle of each one. I don't have the sound necessarily turned down on all of them because I want you to hear what type of sound you capture. Now I've mounted cameras on the panniers. I've turned the sound down on this one because it's very loud and you get a lot of buffeting because of the section. But if you see, we're at the same corner and we're heading down the same stretch of road. These were actually shot at the same time. I was on the trip to a town to the south, and so I was running both cameras. As you can see, I tend to aim the camera to catch part of the bike and part of my leg and arm. I think it gives better context. I've tried placing it farther out where you catch less, but it tends to blur the picture because it can't focus that quickly. And so you get some blur when you're close aboard of these sections. I think the nose angle gives a little bit of a better feel for the lean angle that you get. Although you do see, taking corners, you're getting a lean angle, but the nose doesn't give you any view of what you're actually doing. And here we come up to the next curve, going back around it. Traveling here probably 35-40 miles an hour. With the amount of opposing traffic that travels this road, you're not really trying to do a race day on this. You're just trying to have a comfortable ride in nice weather. So here's the same stretch of road. This is actually on a different motorcycle. It's a F800 GS. It's a loaner bike from the local dealership, and I have it mounted on the helmet. Now, what I will say with Drift HDs, they have sticky mounts that do stick, and once they're on, they're on. This is the first mount I put on it. It was a huge mistake because I put it too far forward on the helmet. If you can tell, you really aren't seeing the skyline, and you're getting the nose too much. I think too much of the nose of the bike. Although it's not a bad perspective, especially the riding style on the GS Adventure. But on a sportier bike like this, an 800S, you're really kind of looking down a lot. So it doesn't quite give you the same perspective that you want. Although with the upright style of the Adventure, you tend to get a little more scenery. Unfortunately, once it's stuck, you aren't getting it off without some harsh chemicals and a putty knife. And I tried lesser harsh chemicals and a putty knife, and it wasn't moving. So there it stays until I buy a new helmet and put another sticky mount on. A lot of people try the side mount. I think that works too. Because I have a modular helmet, I kind of stuck it on top. It seems to work better there. Again, we're coming up same stretch of road, same curves. This was actually shot in February, and so that's why you see the snow on the ground. Okay, so this next section, I actually was able to mount on my handlebars. There's a few more sections because I really think it captures cornering, and the video's a little choppy because I spliced it up. Wasn't on the same section of road that you saw previously. The good part about it is I think it captures more of the cockpit, captures more of the rider. But on the handlebars, I don't run power cables to it, so you get the life of the battery that you get. For the other sections, I'm able to actually run a power cable to each camera. I have it set up in my battery, so I'm able to USB cords across the side of the bike up to the nose or the beak and to the pannier. So I actually made a run, a 6-hour run to another city, and it powered stayed on the whole time. So what you see here is a series of turns. I've always been trying to capture the turn angle because that's the most dynamic portion of motorcycle, and just sitting straight up going straight line is not a whole lot of fun for video wise. When people look at it and they get kind of bored with it. So I picked a route that had a lot of curves in it. Obviously there's some straight lines, and we've got some good lefts and good rights. This is actually mounted on the left hand handlebar of the motorcycle, so that's why you're catching my throttle hand. I left the sound on high on this one because it's not as violent and brutal wind noise as the one on the Pannier. The Pannier one was really loud, a lot of turbulence. Input was a lot higher on that run, and that's why it was so loud, so I turned it down a bit. And then we come up to one of my favorite corners. Coming around, it's a 90-degree turn onto another road. You know, a little downshift here, cut some speed, and carry it right through the corner, and then throttling up. And so I think it's kind of a good dynamic picture, and plan on using this a little more frequently. Just ideas to place cameras. Here we are. It's a beautiful spring day in April. It's about 50 degrees out, and you're going through farm country, so you're not dealing with a lot of traffic, not a lot of traffic lights. So it's a good riding place. Not a lot of traffic out here, although you do have a decent amount of some opposing traffic. This gives a good perspective of the trees. Not really going very fast. Just I will neither confirm nor deny that I'm above the speed limit here, but not that much if I was. And so after these live videos, what I usually set my cameras on is a series of stills and try to do to conserve the battery, which is always the limiting factor. I try to set it for a time period that will sustain it. You see an instruction coming up, talking about a series. For the next series, I was using a 10-second interval, and I will have to say that it's too jumpy. If you look at it, this is actually in West Virginia. I was heading up to the Steel City to visit a friend, and cut across the mountains on the back roads. And with the 10-second interval, you lose a lot of the corners. You lose a lot of the setups. You're either getting a picture of in the middle of the setup or not. These are opposite mounts that I'm doing. So you had a video from the right pannier. You get a series of stills from the left pannier, and that you get a lot more of the traffic, and you get pictures of you waving to the other motorcycles. But this is the same stretch of road as the Beak photos were from previously. So we're covering the same ground, and you can see it kind of a different perspective. In this one, you'll see I have less of my leg and less of my arm in the picture. And it works good when you have some opposing traffic, although you do get the fisheye effect passing close aboard a vehicle. You see this is a pretty dynamic road. Anybody that's ridden in West Virginia will know those are some fun roads to cruise around. This is actually a day where it wasn't raining, going across the mountain the other way. Half the camera got wet. So here's from the camera mount. As I said on the 800S, you really lost a lot of the scenery. A little more upright. You catch a little more, catch some of the horizon, although not as much as I'd like. Like I said, probably change the mount out when I get a new helmet, because getting that sucker off the current helmet just a little difficult. This is actually near Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, out of 522, and this is one of the ones across the mountain. That red pickup in front of me had a whole bunch of Edge tools sitting in the bed of his truck with his tailgate open. I didn't see him until he stopped at a stoplight, and I was a little angry about that. But this is just above Berkeley Springs. And that's the video, and I hope you enjoyed it and gave you some ideas. Thank you much.